Dash Ketchum Gaming shared. X5.
Hi everyone, welcome to the stream. Welcome Matthew, Snappy, Turtle, Dash, Nico. Thank you for the biddies. You're awesome. Thank you, Snappy. Thank you. Turtle with the emotes. Shy grab. Aww. Welcome. I am here to play some Genshin just for a little while today. So happy Katurday. Hope you guys are doing awesome. And man, my lights are bright. Dang, I feel like I'm glowing in the dark. Let's fix that a little bit there. I felt like I was like, poof, you know. Hi, thank you for the lurk artist. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just here gonna play some Genshin. I brought snacks. Yeah, of course I did. I went and picked up some of my favorite snacks because the St. Jude stream card from the other day was like, have your favorite snack. So I went and got some Haribos. And I like these twin snake things because they're super sour. So I like anything Haribo and sour, as you guys probably already know, because I eat them all the time. So this is one of my card scratcher things from St. Jude. I still got you guys a community stream. That'll happen either Friday or Saturday next week. Gotta balance your sweet, yes, sweet and sour. And then we have the Marin cosplay, we have the mystery thing, and we also have the Suzuki-tan Marin cosplay that you guys have probably forgot about. That's coming up too, so things are gonna get exciting. We're gonna have, 3 different big events coming up, along with the community night, and oh yeah, and it might be my birthday next week or something like that. So there's a birthday stream coming up. Yeah, so lots of exciting things coming up. But with that in mind, I will be taking a hiatus next week, and I will see you guys after tonight, not till like Friday or Saturday, depending on how I feel Friday. I will let you guys know though. So I'm gonna take a break for my birthday. So I'm just gonna chill and relax, and then I'll be back and we're gonna hit it. We're gonna get all these things going. I'm gonna make an awesome schedule for you guys, and I'm excited and I can't wait. But for now, let's get started on some Genshin. Ah! I just hurt my wrist. Let's see. Trying to take off my watch. It bothers me when I'm like on my keyboard, so I don't know. But yeah, poke catch. Catch the Caterpie. Palpably. Genshin, let's go. And as you guys know, we did make the $500 goal. I am gonna leave it up for today though, because the actual St. Jude PlayLIVE event doesn't end till the 31st. It ends on my birthday. So I'm just gonna leave it up because the donation link will be active through then. So you never know. Yay. Let's see. Donate, guys. Donate. Yeah, you never know. Somebody may come in and go, hey, I wanted to donate the other day and I didn't get to. Is your link still working? I'm like, yeah, it's still working. Feel free to donate. Every bit counts. I would, but I paid for school this week. Understandable. School is very important. Gotta take care of you first. Gotta. I'm still shocked that we made the 500. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I am completely happy as can be. We made the goal. It made my week, it made my month, it made my day, so we're all good. It's incredible. Super duper happy. Yeah. Turtle, what's with the nose? Oh, because Artist caught it, and I didn't catch it, but Artist catches all the Pokemons, so she's gonna be back at it. Also, Turtle, let me ask, why does it still say you're the top donor? Daddy Turtle, I'm just wondering because I know somebody else donated that exact amount as well. I'm guessing they would have to donate one more dollar in order to top your title there. Because you did it first, yeah, so we're stuck with Daddy Turtle as the top donor. I hope that makes you happy. In the dono, they had to do 101. Yeah, you're right. They couldn't even do a second one. You're right, you're right. So, it's just gonna be you. Tempted. Right? Oh? Turtle's like, oh? Don't take my spot? Yeah. Oh, okay. My long hair is trying to get into my gummies. That is not good. If I get paid early, maybe. Kinky. Oh no. I can't even imagine what name artist would put. What name would you put, artist, if you had it to do it? What name would you put? I like it, I like it, I like it. Mommy mate. I'll get my name back up there. You guys are out. You guys are great. The rivalry. I just won't eat out. Mm-hmm. Better eat. Well, I think he means go out to eat versus like go actually cook food. You would have to actually cook food then.
When you're high up, everyone. Ad Astra Abyssosk.
Let's see. I was gonna say, he better eat. I cook at home a lot, actually. That's good. It's better for you. I don't cook at home as much as I should. At all. I should cook at home a lot more. Matthew! Oh my god, those Bulbasaurs are adorable! Oh, I like the rave one! That's so cute! He's like wearing a little Bulbasaur outfit. That's cute, 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 cute. I eat out on the weekends usually. Okay, I gotta finish up this chapter. Hopefully be back shortly. Okay, good luck. Finish your chapter. I don't eat out much because then I'd have to talk to people. Oh. Oh. So eating out means talking to people. Turtle is like me. I want to make a hedgehog emote that is either hugging, chat, or with a heart. Oh, didn't you make a hedgehog emote before? Did you ever make the other one active? I just get takeout, make your brother pick it up? Oh my gosh. I did design it, but did you just not load it? or did you accidentally delete it? Hmm. You lost it with the demise of your old laptop? No! So yes, you need to make another one. You need to make a series of them. We need all the hedgehogs. Do both, hugging and a heart. I literally no longer have it. I pay for it, the least he could do is pick it up. That's fair, that's fair. I will promise. I think I have 3 slots unlocked. Yeah. If you got 3 slots, then you can totally pick 3 different ones. I forget there's still a process to unlocking all those slots. Okay, homework time. Good luck with your homework. Doomslayer! I'm doing great. I'm doing excellent. I hope you are as well. Welcome. I need this. What do you need? Hold on, okay. I can't read the emote name. Oh, I got on the wrong side. Anyway, I don't think I'm supposed to come up here after all. I'm supposed to go down there and beat them up. Thank you for the follow on Hive. You're welcome. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good day and staying awesome on this Katurday. Artist with the loves, the sleepies, and the hugs. Aw. And why do you need this shy grab? What is that? Is that like a... Oh! Jeez, I just realized it was like a... I just realized what that emote was, Turtle. I wasn't paying attention. I'm loving the new app Hive. Yeah, Hive is really awesome. I've got so many followers on there, and it's been great. The community is great. I get a lot of people come to Twitch from Hive. Probably more than Twitter, I would say. So I feel like it's successful. If you're looking at another social media app, I highly recommend Hive. The app is still in progress and needs a little work, but I recommend it. Triple majoring is hard. 12-10. Do not recommend it. Oh no. Okay, babe. And the verification will be free. Yes, I can't wait for that. They're like, message us for verification, but I don't think it happened yet. I messaged, but I don't know if I did it in the right spot. Triple, oh my. Hi, Desi! Welcome, Desi! Welcome, guys! I'm going back and looking at these emotes. I always like looking at emotes. They're so cool. Desi, I hope you're doing awesome. Alright, let's get back to work with my Kirara cat girl. Let's go, girl. Let's figure out. Oh, we gotta do the balloon thing. That's what we're doing. So we just gotta like defeat this balloon before it gets to its destination, despite all the guys in the way.
Orders given. Orders received.
The ice.
Code. Position. Dance with the wave.
Is that too loud? Done. Oh, okay. What is that thing? One of those plant things.
With all my strength.
Yay. Okay. Says it will out the end of June or in the middle of July, they said. Oh, that's cool. I got a funny middle finger emote, but it's a llama? So there's a llama that pops up? That's crazy. Why does this game sound like this? Like it's inside something and it's really loud. Oh no. So it's like inside out? The settings are weird? That sounds about right. Sounds like my sound settings are probably all messed up, but I'm gonna turn it down for one. You know it's not a proper stream if something isn't wrong. You know that's how this works. I was having trouble with my earbuds because I made the mistake of connecting them to my phone. And then when I tried to connect them back to my PC, they didn't like it. So I'm sure that the game sound is somehow going through my ear and then to the stream, which is probably really screwed up. So, yeah. At least I wasn't muted for the first 10 minutes. Facts. Facts. It's the small things in life that make us happy. So, I'm gonna look and see if I can fix the sound settings. If not, we're just gonna turn Genshin super low. Do I sound normal? I hope I sound normal. Voiceover Viking, hello, my beautiful friend. Welcome, Voiceover Viking. It is good to see you today. How are you doing? Try this. Can I still hear the game though? I can't. When will chair beat up Mono? I hope my chair never beats me up again. That was terrible. I sound good? Well, that's the most important thing. That my voice doesn't sound whack. But I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to fix the game sound today. I don't know what the deal is. Let's go into open sound settings. I'm scared to change too much right now too because it'll just like work all over. Overworked and overtired, but making enough to build my voice acting business. I'm glad to hear it and I understand. Gotta do what you gotta do to pay the bills. But then it makes it hard to work on the other stuff, doesn't it? Let's see. That is that. That is set to that. I'm scared to change this. Maybe that'll work. Can we still hear the game or not, though? No, we cannot. Or maybe. Hold on. You don't have to do it now. Just lower the game volume. Yeah. Not cheap to build a business. Carvana! No, it's not. You hear the game? Okay, good. I think I fixed it then. I may have fixed it. Just let me know if it sounds normal. When I turn it up a second. Want to see what I have built so far? Can send via DMs. Do it, do it, do it. Let's see. So you guys can hear the game, but I can't. Does the game sound normal, Turtle? Oh, you still sound inside out and backwards. Because I can't hear the game. It sounds good now, right? And if I want to hear it, it's not going to sound good. So I'm just going to leave it right now like this so you guys can hear it. And then we'll figure out my problems later. Because, you know. Let's see. Oh, that looks cool. I like the design. Ooh. I like it, I like it, I like it. Change your icon, your name, and everything. I like it. That looks really cool. I love the color scheme. It's very sharp. Should hear the closing on. Yeah, if I play it, everybody else is gonna hear it, and I won't be able to hear it because my sound's messed up. So, my sound's messed up right this second. I'll have to play it after stream because I'm not gonna be able to hear it. I turned it so that the game sounds good. I'm not worried about me. Because I borked my sound system. What my computer needs is a restart in order to fix it. And I'm not gonna restart it. So. Oh, we miss you too, man. I miss you too. But I understand. I work 40 hours a week and I stream and, you know, hobbies and such. It's hard. And if you're trying to start your own business, I can't imagine. Okay, just let me know if the game's too loud. I think it's about right though. My looks on the screen. Yeah, hopefully you can hang out with us again sometime. In Discord or something. Yeah. We're going down this way. I think he wants to come with though. Get some steaks. Cute little steaks.
Positions.
These guys just want to follow us, so they're going to... You better run away. You're such a chicken butt. Go back here. Quit being a chicken butt. Really good dead. Oh, fine. Oh, something.
With all my strength. Yeah. Yeah. This dance is for you.
Oh, they disappeared. Where'd they go? I work 70 hours a week, stream on a voice actor's platform, and only get 1 day off. Oh my gosh. And I'm sure that 1 day you're working on your stuff. Jeez. I couldn't imagine. I don't feel like getting hit.
You're dead meat.
Kitty's on fire. El gato en fuego. El gato en fuego. This is the proper time to say that. Oh gosh. Yeah, look. There you go, El gato en fuego. Oh. Oh. I'm too much. I'm too much for myself sometimes. Da, 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 da. My hair looks pretty. It's not all frizzy. Yay! Like, what is that noise? Oh, fireworks. It's Memorial Day weekend, and we have fireworks going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys want to play? Okay.
Nice delivery. Yeah. Coming through.
Let's see. Let's go up here. Oh, there's a wall. And then we gotta climb this wall, so we're gonna go. Fox Kitty engaged. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Ooh.
sacred name, Fortune Preserver. Play. Here! Here! All eyes on me! Yeah! Look alive! That's that! There is the smile!
Next location. Right there. Teleport.
Yep.
There they are.
Coming through! Life goes on. You asked for it! Rise.
Oh, my little
All my strength!
Just got frozen. More straggling. Oh, good. That's the last one. I don't think so. I think there's one more. Always one more. Daily commissions. Or no, that's it. That's it. Teleport. Hi, Tank! Thank you for the lurk. I hope you're doing awesome. Welcome to the stream.
Yep.
Thank you for the lurk. Much appreciated.
Ad
What'd you
Astra
guys have for dinner
Abyssosk.
today? I had a Happy Meal because I am.
Thank you for completing today's
child.
commissions.
So I had me a hamburger Happy Meal today for dinner because we know that's
Ad
the
Astra
dinner of
Abyssosk.
champions. Oh, okay. Goodbye. And we don't want to do that. Escape. Claim original resin. What do we want to work on? I can't believe there's so much we can work on without me even ranking up. That's what we're gonna do when I come back. When I come back, we are going to actually change my adventurer's rank. Hellfire. Awaken the trees. Adventure rank ascension. That's what we're gonna do. Not today, though. The outskirts dark and the cabin first shared and flew up away through thaw. According to Iris, there are 2 shards here at Dragon's Spine. If you follow the strange blue plants, you may be able to find more shards of this sort around. I never could find those. Or a hint, go to blah blah blah, but I didn't read it. Because I'm terrible. What was that? I missed something. I just realized I can't hear my... Oh, that's because the faces don't make a sound. I was like, did a thing just trigger? Because I saw the emotes bouncing around. And I don't know if I can hear those sounds either. But... Turtle, 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 turtle! What's with the faces? There. I'm gonna move the crinkly bag away from the microphone.
Run.
I threw the cookies at you. Bam! As you were running away. How rude. 500 cookies hit you in the back. At one time. Just like something out of Mario.
Wow, it's snowing.
I mean, you ran away.
Snow falling.
Oh.
Add in the swirling snowflakes, and it feels
Follow
like
all
the
the
spirit of
shards
nature
out.
is
This is
dancing.
follow the blue flowers to find the shards. Thing is I don't know where those are. I don't even know where the blue flowers are. Because I'm doing the thawed shard thing and I like the mountains. A wild Farfetch appeared. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Why? Should I do the little show rush events? Oh, you know what I didn't do? I haven't done the actual, trials. I haven't done these. Let's do the trials. Let's try her out. She looks really cool. She looks like a... Oh, I forget her name from Naruto. That's what she reminds me of. Oh, I can't remember her name though.
Fuse is lit.
Oh, I like how it's like... Oh, like she's waving a wand or something. Heavy phone. Cool. Yay. Look at her.
That didn't count.
Okay, now
Who
we're
fish it
gonna
down?
It's fireworks! It's so appropriate, like, I'm listening to fireworks right now, by the way. There's a fireworks show in town. For Memorial Day weekend. And I can hear it.
A festive retreat.
She's a shooter, don't worry.
The festival.
Oh, she died. Yeah, we weren't paying attention and we let her die. We did that.
No, my sword. Rain cutter. Everybody stand back. Let's light it up. Let me weave you a verse. And step. Your grand finale. Yeah.
Wrong way. I like how she passes through people. How do you die in a trial? I don't know. Very strategically.
Strike is one. This isn't stage fighting. Observe.
Oh, it's because I'm under the... I was hitting the wrong one.
do they never miss? Go in! Yeah, that's gonna hurt in the morning.
I'm just getting beat up.
Let's light it up!
I don't understand.
Everybody stand back!
I don't wanna.
Why do they never miss? Get out of here!
That
Grand
better?
finale! Observe!
Me actually moving out of the way.
Rain outlines your fate. Let me weave you a verse.
Ugh. Man, he got me anyway.
Don't worry.
Oh, I hate
got
this mini thing.
Couldn't break
Hate it.
the
Hate it.
curse.
I didn't kill the second character of the trial. Oh no. I'm gonna make
Unleash.
her cry. Shade, oh no, cat. Instagram. How do you do that? Very carefully, very talentedly. I didn't enjoy playing any of those characters. I wish my skills were that like that. What do you mean? You just die in the trials? Oh gosh. I've never had that happen or seen that happen.
This is even colder
Well,
than the
there's a
nights
first
in
for
the desert.
everything. Wrong thing. One of his world's first. I wanted to break a new record. If you can't make the highest score, come up with a new way to make a score, you know?
Emerge.
Oh.
A sight to behold. Come on out. Show them.
I should have dodged that. And that.
Let the show begin. La, 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 la,
This is different. Cully wasn't there when Yamiko came out the first time. Interesting. So they did a different lineup than you're used to?
Kidding me? This is even colder than nights in the.
Why would I try the character I have? To get those things that I need. I showing people about Dendro and Electro together. Okay. Because you don't know what she does. It's true.
Rest for the wicked.
I summon thee. Service with a smile.
I don't feel like being hit.
By royal decree. Shadow Raven, let night fall. Sign here, please. Back.
Did I do okay? I didn't die. I didn't die. I just really couldn't do the first one. Meow.
Kidding me? This is even colder than the nights in the desert.
I don't know. She can fight. That's what she can do. I mean, alright, you tell me what she can do then. You summarize it. In your words. Doesn't want to go down.
As a good knight should. Leave it all to me.
Keep coming at me. Do it. You won't. You won't.
Strike is one. Observe.
Ah, it's his turn to spin. Well, yeah, I can do that too. Watch me. Anything you can do, I can do better.
Time to clean up.
We're giving a musical now. Drink water! Thank you, Napoleon! Welcome to the stream! Welcome. It's funny that I have the other 3 people in the draw, but not the arch. Oh gosh, so you've gotten all the other 3, but not...
As a dutiful maid works. Steady as stone.
That stinks.
Someone needs...
pretty good. I played with her for the longest. That's why I feel like I
Break a leg!
decently what she can do.
Yeah!
Right in the kisser. Let's go, GG. Thanks.
Kidding me?
Alright, let's go grab those things. Claim. I don't know. I'm gonna do it anyway, because we can. And why is my phone ringing like, or buzzing like crazy? So many notifications. Thank you for the retweets, guys, and the repost, guys, on Hive and on Twitter. Thank you. For the supports.
One with my blade.
He thinks he's Noel. Look at him go. That's actually pretty
Spirit
cool.
blade. Attack.
Pretty happy with it.
Boba, get them! Out of the frying pan, into the fire!
Swift and merciful. Submit for judgment.
I think he spins faster than Noel. Do you guys think he spins faster than Noel? Wild Graveler appeared. Poke catch.
Kidding me? This is even colder than the night.
Frozen Ardor. Chongayon. I don't know how do you say his name. I wouldn't know how to pronounce that very well. I'm terrible. Team, got the goodies. Ah.
Desert. We mercs have one simple rule.
I was like, why are you
Whoever
on
pays the-
mountain? 'Cause I like the mountains. I like the mountains.
Is your new boss.
Color escape. New and copy. Reputation reward? What's that for? Where is that at? So I pulled the jade lance and put it in on Io. On Zhao? Zhao? Is that how you say it? Zhao, right? Pull the jade lance and put it on Zhao. I think that's how you say that. Okay, so I'm here. Reputation reward, Mondstadt. Recognize the heights and city of people, increase her reputation. Mondstadt again, trust the people. She might village surprise you available. I'm already here. That doesn't tell you where to go. You got this. I don't know.
Something off.
Downstairs, I still need to increase my rep in Mondstadt. Yeah, where do you do the rep thing? It just... not there. Left off where you spawned. Okay. So I spawned there. Scholar Academy or Blanche? What it did it say to go see? I was left. Not down where you are, okay.
Did something awful happen?
So I was here. And you said left. Downstairs! Okay.
Transfers of supplies must be reported.
Heard up. Reputation 4. Complete related tasks to increase your reputation. Oh, okay. Great Mountain Survey. I don't think I ever come in here and do this. I'm terrible. So I've done 10 of 22, but I always forget that this even exists. You've been doing it. I didn't even know it existed. I'm like, wow. That's probably why I wasn't doing it. Okay, back to looking for trees. Is it gonna show me where that's at? I said navigate to it, but of course it didn't pop up.
My people are used to the desert life.
It would have been level
But still, I
7-ish
hope
by
that
now,
one
but I
day
forgot.
they'll be able to find an oasis of their own and leave the sands behind for a better life.
Alright. Let's go! Stretch. Now I need to run around my map and unlock my waypoints. Yes. What? You have none of them? Definitely need to work on that. Does that one do something when I turn into her? It does. That's the pieces I'm looking for, okay. And there's 2 more. I hate the flying mechanics in these little guys. Because my pinky doesn't reach that far. Especially in Inazuma, since I just unlocked that area. Yeah. That's gonna be a hard one. I don't even have them all unlocked there. Hey, thank you so so much. We can finally go home. Yay! That one was pretty cool.
I could make a tidy sum selling some of this.
So next little area for the little guys is wait. No. You gotta rank up now? Soon, yes, I know. I know. I'm gonna do it when I come back. I've been putting it off forever, and I can like do... It's like, it amazes me how long I've gone without ranking up, like, on purpose. And, the reason I did it for so long was to let other people play with me and catch up. But now I'm finally to the point that I gotta stop, like, doing all this endless side stuff and actually level up soon. You know? You know what? Where was it on the map that I gotta go? Over here. Should be Venture rank 40ish, I think. So I can't just like pick one at a time. Is it gonna really push me through all those ranks at one time? I'm scared because it's gonna be ridiculous.
We mercs
You
have
forgot
one
how to
simple
upgrade?
rule. Whoever pays the most is your new boss.
Who catches up? Nobody joined besides me and Rain. I know. You guys are always here. I had a few people that downloaded it and wanted to play. But then just never got around to it, so yeah, it's fine. This way. And yes, it's gonna push to other ranks because it still accumulates everything you do even when you're locked. I know, it's gonna be scary. I'm looking at that number. Yeah. 127,315 XP compared to you only needed 4,575. So it's gonna be bad. If it gets too hard, you could just decrease the world. I'm probably gonna have to. That or I'm just gonna get really good. I'm gonna have to get good. After I did my 25 mission rank, I finished it and ranked up all to 30. Dang. I sent you something on Snap. Please do not listen to it where stream can hear it or anyone else. Okay. I noticed a word after I sent it. Oh, okay. No worries. I'll wait and listen to it after stream. Oh, okay. So it's like a video that you had no idea I had that. Yeah. Oops. Okay. No worries. I mean, you weren't prepared for it. No, I'm not getting banned. Yeah. Saint Nick. There we go. Saint Nick. That's what it is. It was Santa Claus. It's okay. I try not to listen to videos on stream anyway, so... Where am I supposed to be going? It says down here, but I think it's wrong.
Yeah.
Like below here. There we go. We'll teleport inside. Yes, it has Nicolas Cage. Yes. Treasure hunter himself. Oh, that one I just had to go talk to. Dang. Okay. Okay. And then the treasure chest is right here.
Well, how about that?
And next is... Okay. Navigate. I think my phone's dying. Genshin, you have not logged into your dailies yet today. I am doing my dailies, Genshin. Don't even. It's talking about on the phone, though. Oh, there we go. Okay. What I'll forget is Star Rail. Gosh. One day I will play Star Rail again. And forget what I was doing. We're going to put my phone on work focus. Like I'm at work. Because it is on fire. Let's see. Cause I am working hard. Hardly working. Let's see. If you guys are lurking and listening, thank you for lurking and listening. Much appreciated. Oh, and I didn't hear my follow 17 minutes ago. Are my notifications going off? Thank you so much, Batch. Thank you for that follow. Much appreciated. I might not be able to hear them right now. I'm having sound issues, so in order for you guys to hear the game, I don't have any sound, so if I miss your follows, thank you. Much appreciated. I promise I'm not ignoring you. I'm just like super focused and have no sound. Furfroof. Who wants to catch the furfroof? Furfroof. I still can't believe I was doing that so wrong. I came in to eradicate you. No, actually, I came in to help you. Shh, be quiet. You won't want to startle those dark puppies there. See, there's only one way left to go then. Oh.
Let's get it on!
Life goes on. Opening box of adept tricks.
This dance is for you!
Buckle up! Your love's off!
Oh, where's he at? What am I supposed to do so I don't die? There. Oh, you must be one powerful, you snappity. You got that. Phew, now we can relax. Ta-da! Boom of purifying light complete. Let's get the treasure chest.
Well, how about that?
And go on. Oh, we need it from here. I think so. Now we are off to actually navigate to this part. Look for the fossil tree and rescue the residue. See, it doesn't really tell you where to go. Is that just like an infinite thing? Maybe use your elemental sight? No, it's one of the trees. That's where we were. Why is she just like automatically stuck there? Like a fly in a spider web. I didn't tell her to do that.
Care for a dance? Dance with me! The show's only just begun. Go. Think fast! Not done yet. The curtain falls. Let me help you pack this up.
Man's treasure. Like a, ooh, there's a thing, there's a thing. Oh, the plumes of light. I collect them all. Charge complete. I have one more gummy snake left. It's gone. Mm-hmm. 100 promos. You guys are gonna make me even hungrier. Alright, good luck getting food, artist. I had a milkshake, then I froze in my freezer, and now I'm eating it with a spoon. Sounds yummy. Now I want a Frosty.
Like this are nice. Let's take it easy.
You haven't ate since 2 p.m. I'm allowed. Yes, please eat, please eat, please eat. It is good for you. We can do it again. Get another 100 gems or something. That'd be cool. We do! Whoa! We just got 200 promos. Oh, and you can do it 3 more times. Once you have enough of those, you can do it 3 more times. Get 300 more promos once you get all those things. You just have to find them all. I don't know if there's any down here or not.
Take a deep breath, as if you're about to blow up a
There's
huge
a way
balloon.
to... There's not really a
Exhale
way
all
to
your
see them on the
sleepiness
map.
into it,
I'm sure
and then
there's on the app. You might be able to see them.
It's now flying away.
Got to go, dinner time. Good luck with dinner, Tink. Good luck, good luck. Thanks for lurking and listening. Oh, this was that speed challenge one that I couldn't do. It's driving me nuts, that one. Yeah, I'm not doing that right now. That was hard, though. Alright. I'm gonna heal, and then we might do this little, event real quick. This little, challenge. Okay, Dea wants to do the running now. Let's see. Oh, challenge! Ooh, collect dangerous.
I could make a tidy sum selling some of this.
Well, let's follow these and see where it takes us. It's right here. You want to go back the other way, though. Yeah, because I want all those guys that we disturbed when we... Yeah, now I can't reach them. Oh, well... yeah. Ooh, there's an octopus thing that you can... How do we get it? Can we get that one over there? Do we just jump up there, or do we have to fly over there? I bet we have to fly over there. Oh, we found some eggs. Breakfast. Breakfast. Maybe. Maybe you have to fly from way up high, I bet. Yeah, because it's like in the center. So we have to figure out where the highest point is around here. And the easiest way to get to it. So, map. Oh, there's definitely no high points, really. Bet that's not even high up. Maybe? Oh? Why do you say that, Turtle? Why? lost track of where I was. It's definitely this way somewhere. Maybe up here? We can find it. Where was it at?
With all my strength.
I don't see it now. I've lost it. I'm not at the right spot to see its location anymore. I'm thinking it's on the other side of this big tree is why we can't see it. So, we'll fly back down here. Where this annoying puzzle was that we never figured out. Hello, closed it. A wild Pidgeotto appeared. If you need a Pidgeotto,
Here.
we'll catch. I know I don't need a Pidgeotto though. I've already got one for sure. Oh, there it is again. So, yeah. How do we get on that hill over there? Shoot, because that's underground. That's on the other side. That's below. That we haven't been to yet. I feel like you gotta jump off from up like right here. And I don't think there's an easy way to climb that wall. Maybe right there? Navigate? We'll go check it out. We'll see how accurate this map is. Yep, maybe? Could have did that challenge right there. It's okay. I don't know how you're supposed to get up there. Somewhere high enough that you could get that Oculus. Have to be over there. And I don't think we're allowed to go that way further, so yeah, that's not gonna work. And now we're gonna slide down the hill. Yeah, I don't think we can get that one yet. Not easily, anyway. I was just curious. It's cool looking up here though at night. Yes. Been down there? There's like 4 different Dendrio spots. They need to be activated. Oh, in a certain order. That's number 4, that's number 1, that's number 2. Okay, we'll do this one. 3. Here's number 1. And number 4. Let's go, let's go! Oh, that's where that one is. Oh, we found it.
Wow! I've never seen half the stuff in here before.
Let's treasure chest. At least we can teleport here now. Lurk. Hi, Nick Dothy. Thank you for the lurk. Much appreciated. But yeah, today's a short stream, guys, and my time is up, though, to give you a heads up. And I will be ending in just a second. Did unlock some new things. And that was my mail. Claim. And then also achievements that we got today. What achievements did we get today? We got 2 of them. Badlands Treasure Hunter and Badlands Adventure. So we earned quite a lot of promos today. Only 906 though, so not enough for a pull. Not enough for a 10 pull anyway. So, we'll get there though. We'll get there. But that is it for me, guys. Cheered 5 biddies. Thank you for the biddies.
Dash Ketchum Gaming shared. X5.
Much appreciated. Gonna give out some boops. Boops shade on the nose. Splashes Racing Tank, who's out getting food. Now his sandwich is wet. Hugs Artist. And let's see. Kisses Pokemon Community Games. We love Pokemon. Licks Nick Dothy. Sorry, Nick Dothy. Don't get salty.
Let's get salty!
But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the support this last week. Once again, I'm taking most of this week off. I'll be back live on Friday or Saturday. And after that, though, we're going to have a ton of stuff on the schedule. We got a community night. We got a birthday stream. It's somebody's birthday. I don't know who that is. Like, Wednesday. And we got a bunch of cosplays coming up. So it's going to be exciting when I come back. So I'm going to take a break because it is my birthday week. And I will be back. Probably not Friday unless I really feel up to it because I got a lot of stuff going on Friday. But I'll see you guys Saturday for sure. And I will let you guys know as we get closer. Turtle, thank you so much for gifting subs to Silky and the unknown user Survivor. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, Turtle. I feel guilty now. You're gonna make me want to feel like I need to stay longer if you're gifting subs.
Turtle gifted a tier 1 sub to
keep
the
me
unknown
from
survivor.
leaving. I can't go if we're doing that. Oh, I forgot to turn on VOD recording. Oh, dang it. For our karaoke streams, but I'll fix that. Oh, but thank you. I think I just hit a button and we'll publish it. But thank you guys. Thank you for everything. Thank you for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Turtle gifted
Wow, is
one
a
to
turtle
Matthew
gifted a
too.
tier 1
Thank
sub
you,
to Matthew the
Turtle.
Visionary.
Thank
They have
you.
given 80 gift subs in the channel.
You are so kind. You didn't have to do that, you know? You didn't have to, you didn't have to. All the sub love. But yeah. Yeah. You guys take care, okay? Take care. Don't cause any trouble. Keep your noses clean, you know? Eat, drink lots of water. Drink all the waters. And I will catch you guys later. Bye, everyone. Much love. Good night.